The air in the carriage smells of old leather and damp wool, a scent that clings to the back of my throat like a sickness. It is the smell of transaction, the smell of being sold. Outside the window, the world is a blur of green and gray. Towering pines claw at a sky the color of a fresh bruise, their needles weeping a resinous perfume that fails to mask the mustiness inside. We have been driving for 2 days, or maybe 3. Time has become a thick, slow-moving river of dread. The man beside me, Mr. Thaddeus, has not spoken more than a dozen words to me since we left the city. He is a proxy, a delivery man. His silence is a heavy cloak, smothering any hope that this is anything other than what I know it to be. An exile, my family called it a placement, a prestigious position as a companion in a remote estate. A quiet life, they'd said, for a quiet girl. A quiet Omega girl. The word hangs in my mind, ugly and sharp-edged. Omega, a genetic flaw in a world that prizes the strength of alphas and the stability of betas. I'm a disappointment etched in DNA. My scent is too sweet, my temperament too yielding, my body barren, a dead end in a proud lineage. I remember the face of my fiancé Lysander when the final test came back. The cool dismissal in his eyes, the way he looked at me as if I were a faulty piece of machinery. Not a woman, but a problem to be discarded. My father's face was worse, a mask of weary resignation. He had tried to marry me off, to secure an alliance, to hide my deficiency. When that failed, this was the only solution left. Send the flawed product away, where no one of importance would have to see it. So I was sold. Not for coin, perhaps, but for the preservation of honor, for the quiet removal of a family shame. The carriage lurches to a stop. The sudden stillness, a shock after hours of motion. Mr. Thaddeus finally turns to me, his face impassive. "We are here!" I look out the window. There is no grand manor, no welcoming lights. Only a wall, a monstrous wall of black, jagged stone that disappears into the churning gray clouds above. It is ancient and forbidding, overgrown with ivy that looks like skeletal fingers. Set into the wall is a gate of wrought iron, twisted into shapes of snarling beasts and thorny vines. It feels less like an entrance and more like the maw of some great predator. Beyond the gate, I see nothing but more forest, darker and denser than what we have already passed through. The air grows colder, seeping through carriage walls. It carries a new scent. Pine, yes, and wet earth, but something else. Something wild and musky and deeply unsettling. It smells of power. Mr. Thaddeus gets out, his boots crunching on the gravel. He doesn't open the gate. He simply stands before it, waiting. A moment later, with a groan of protesting metal that scrapes against my bones, the gates swing inward on their own. Magic, or something close to it. My heart hammers against my ribs, a frantic bird in a cage of bone. The stories my grandmother used to tell me, the ones my father forbade, whisper at the edges of my mind. Tales of the old world, of beings that were not human, of territories ruled by a different kind of law. He said they were just stories. The carriage rolls forward through the gates and into the gloom. The stone wall swallows the light behind us. We are in a new world now. The forest inside the walls is primeval. The trees are giants, their canopies so thick they create a perpetual twilight. Moss hangs from their branches like green, tattered shrouds. The silence here is different. It is not empty, it is watchful. I feel 1,000 unseen eyes on me, and the fine hairs on my arms stand on end. After another 10 minutes of crawling through the oppressive woods, a structure resolves out of the shadows. It is a house, I suppose, but it looks more like a fortress carved from the mountain itself. It's all dark stone and sharp angles, with narrow windows like arrow slits. It is a place built for defense, not comfort. A place to keep the world out, or something terrible in. The carriage stops. This time, Mr. Thaddeus opens my door. He does not offer a hand. "Your belongings will be brought in," he says. His voice is flat. Final, I step out onto the cold, damp ground. The house looms over me, radiating a chill that has nothing to do with the temperature. The wild, musky scent is stronger here, woven into the very stone of the building. It's masculine and territorial, and it makes my omega instincts scream at me to submit, to run, to do both at once. I clench my fists, my short nails digging into my palms. I will not be a frightened animal. I have been cast out, but I will not crumble. Mr. Thaddeus gestures to the enormous wooden door. "The master is aware of your arrival. He prefers his privacy. You will find your duties are light. The house is largely self-sufficient. You are here for companionship." Companionship? What a sterile, hollow word for what I am. A living ghost to haunt these halls, so some reclusive master doesn't have to be alone. He gets back into the carriage without another word. He does not look back. The horses, sensing their freedom, turn the carriage in a tight, nervous circle and begin to trot away, their hoofbeats swallowed by the suffocating silence. And then I am alone. Truly, utterly alone. In front of a monster's keep at the end of the world. My breath hitches. For a long moment, I can't move. My feet feel rooted to the spot. Go back? Where would I go? My family has cast me off. Lysander has rejected me. The world I knew has no place for me. There is only forward, into that house. With a shuddering breath, I force my legs to move. One step, then another. I climb the few stone steps to the door. It's made of a dark, almost black wood bound with iron. There is no knocker, no bell. Just a large, ornate handle in the shape of a snarling wolf's head. I hesitate, my hand hovering over the cold metal. This is it. The threshold of my new life, my new prison. I wrap my fingers around the wolf's head. It's colder than I expected, as if it draws the heat from my very skin. I pull. The door swings open without a sound, revealing a chasm of shadow within. I step inside. The door clicks shut behind me, the sound echoing in the vast, cavernous space. The darkness is absolute. I am blind, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ears. The air is thick with that same wild scent, so potent it makes my head swim. It's the scent of him, the master of this place. I take a tentative step forward, my hands outstretched, and stumble as my foot catches on something. I gasp, flailing for balance, and my fingers brush against cool, smooth wood. A table. Slowly, as my eyes adjust, shapes begin to form in the gloom. I am in a great hall. The ceiling is lost in shadow far above me. Colossal stone arches support the weight of the roof. A fireplace large enough to roast an ox dominates one wall, its hearth cold and black. Furniture is sparse, a long, heavy table, a few high-backed chairs that look more like thrones. Everything is oversized, built for someone much larger than a normal man. The silence is unnerving. It presses in on me, heavy and alive. Where is he? This master who requires a companion but prefers his privacy. A flicker of light draws my eye. High on the wall, a torch suddenly ignites, its flame a sputtering orange flower in the dark. Then another, and another. They burst into life one by one, chasing the shadows up into the rafters. The hall is illuminated in a warm, dancing light. It is no less intimidating. Tapestries depicting brutal hunting scenes hang between the arches. Weapons, swords, axes, cruel-looking spears are mounted on the walls. This is not a home. It is a lair. "Hello!" I call out, my voice a small, trembling thing in the immense space. Only the crackle of the flames answers me. My luggage, a single trunk containing the plain dresses and practical shoes my mother had deemed appropriate, sits by the door. Everything I own in the world. I feel a desperate, rising panic. This is a mistake, a terrible mistake. I am prey that has just walked willingly into the den. I need to find my room, my space, a door I can lock. I turn, scanning the walls, and see a sweeping stone staircase at the far end of the hall. It seems my only option. Clutching the strap of my worn travel bag to my chest like a shield, I make my way towards it. My soft-soled shoes make no sound on the flagstones. I feel like an intruder, a mouse scurrying through a lion's den. The staircase is wide and cold. As I ascend, the torchlight from below casts my shadow long and distorted on the wall beside me. It looks like a frightened wraith clinging to me. The upper floor is a long gallery lined with closed doors. Which one is mine? There are no signs, no one to ask. The feeling of being watched intensifies. It's a prickle on my skin, a weight on the back of my neck. He's here, somewhere, watching me. I pick a door at random, my hand shaking as I reach for the handle. It's unlocked. I push it open and peer inside. It's a bedroom, opulent but stark. A massive bed with a dark wood frame, a wardrobe, a dressing table. A fire is already laid in the hearth, waiting for a spark. It's clean, but it feels unused, sterile. This isn't my room. This must be his. I back out quickly, pulling the door softly shut. I try the next one. It's a library. Floor-to-ceiling shelves packed with leather-bound books. The air smells of paper and dust and time. A part of me, the girl who used to hide in her grandfather's study, longs to go inside, to lose herself in stories. But I don't dare. The third door opens into a bedroom that is clearly meant for me. It's smaller, simpler. The bed is covered with a plain wool blanket. The furniture is functional, not ornate. Through a tall, narrow window, I can see the churning gray sky and the tops of the endless, menacing trees. It is stark, but it is a space, a potential sanctuary. Relief floods through me, so potent it makes my knees weak. I step inside and close the door, leaning my back against it. I listen. The house is silent. But the feeling of being watched does not fade. I survey my new cage. There's a small adjoining bathroom with a basin and a clawfoot tub, running water. A small mercy. The wardrobe is empty. The room is clean, but impersonal. A blank slate, or a blank page in a story I do not want to be in. Days begin to bleed into one another. I never see him. The master remains a ghost, a presence I feel but cannot find. Yet the house provides. Food appears in the kitchen pantry. Fresh bread, cheese, smoked meats, fruit. The fires in the main hall and my room are always lit when I wake, the flames crackling cheerfully, a stark contrast to the oppressive silence. My duties, as Mr. Thaddeus said, are non-existent. The house seems to clean itself. Dust doesn't settle. The floors remain gleaming. I am a guest, a prisoner, a companion to infantum. Loneliness becomes my constant companion, a hollow ache in my chest that grows with each passing silent hour. I wander the vast, empty rooms, my footsteps echoing. I run my fingers over the spines of books in the library I dare not read. I trace the patterns of the ferocious beasts in the tapestries. I talk to myself, whispers at first, then full sentences, just to hear a human voice. This is absurd, I'd say to my reflection in a dusty mirror. Absolutely absurd. My reflection would just stare back, pale and wide-eyed. A stranger in a strange land. Sometimes, at night, I hear things. The scrape of claws on stone from the hallway outside my door. A low, guttural growl that seems to vibrate through the very floorboards. I would lie frozen in my bed, sheets pulled up to my chin, my heart a frantic drum. It is the sound of a very large animal, a wolf. The scent, his scent, is always strongest then, wild and dominant. It terrifies me, but deep within, a traitorous part of my omega nature stirs. It is the scent of an alpha, powerful, protective. I crush the feeling ruthlessly. He is my captor, a beast. I am not some animal in heat, responding to a primal call. I am a woman, one afternoon, driven by a desperate need for something to do, for some purpose. I decide to explore the parts of the house I have avoided. The ground floor is a labyrinth of corridors and unused rooms. Drawing rooms draped in white cloths. A formal dining hall that could seat 50, all of it cold and silent as a tomb. It is in a wing I hadn't noticed before, tucked away behind the great staircase, that I hear it. A sound. It's faint. A tiny, distressed whimper. I freeze, straining to listen. There it is again, higher this time, a cry of pain or fear. It is not human. It sounds like a small animal, a puppy, perhaps. Curiosity, a feeling I thought had long been extinguished in me, flares to life. It is stronger than my fear. I follow the sound down a narrow, dark corridor. The air here is warmer. The wild scent is thick, but it's mingled with something else, something milky and young. The corridor ends at a heavy oak door slightly ajar. The whimpering is coming from inside. My hand trembles as I push the door open. The room is a nursery. That is the only word for it. The air is warm and smells of milk and clean linen. There's a small hearth with glowing embers, and in the center of the room, on a bed of soft furs, is a cradle. Not a human cradle. It is a nest, woven from branches and lined with what looks like wolf fur. And in the nest is a baby. Not a human baby. It is a pup. Its fur is the color of ash. Its eyes barely open slits of startling, intelligent gold. It's tiny, whimpering, its little body trembling. It looks utterly helpless. My breath catches in my throat. A wolf pup. Here, alone. Where is its mother? Where is anyone? Logic screams at me. This is the beast's child. This is dangerous. I should back away, close the door, pretend I never saw this. This is not my concern. My own safety is my only concern. But as I look at the tiny, shivering creature, I don't see a monster. I see a baby, alone and frightened. And a memory, sharp and painful, rises in me. Me in my room after Lysander had left. The sound of my own quiet sobs completely ignored. The profound, crushing loneliness of being in distress and having no one answer. No one care. The pup lets out another piteous cry, and something inside me breaks. Some wall of fear and self-preservation I have so carefully constructed. I will not be like them. I will not turn away from a creature in need just because it is inconvenient or frightening. I take a step into the room, then another. My heart is pounding, but my purpose is clear. Shh, I whisper, my voice soft. It's all right. I'm here. I kneel beside the nest of furs. The pup's golden eyes fix on me. There is no fear in them, only a desperate, silent plea. It is hungry, or cold, or both. I reach out a hesitant hand. My fingers brush against its soft, downy fur. It's so small, so fragile. It whimpers again and tries to nuzzle into my hand, seeking warmth. Compassion, fierce and overwhelming, floods me. It's a feeling so powerful, it brings tears to my eyes. Okay, I murmur, more to myself than to the pup. Okay, what do you need? I look around the room. There's a small table with a bowl and a pitcher of what looks like goat's milk. It's still warm. He must have been here. The master. He was caring for his child and was called away. But the milk is just sitting there. The pup is too small to drink from a bowl. I dip my fingers into the warm milk and bring them to the pup's mouth. It latches on immediately, its tiny tongue rasping against my skin, suckling greedily. A wave of something primal and protective washes over me. It is a hollow echo of the motherhood I was told I could never have. I sit there on the cold stone floor, letting the pup nurse from my fingers, murmuring soft nonsense to it. For the first time since I arrived, the house does not feel empty. The silence is not oppressive. It is filled with the sound of this small, precious life. I don't know how long I sit there. Time seems to melt away. The pup, its belly full, curls up against my leg and falls into a contented sleep, its tiny flank rising and falling with each breath. A shadow falls over me. I look up. Filling the doorway, blocking out the light from the hall, is a wolf. It is enormous. Bigger than any wolf I have ever seen in pictures or nightmares. Its fur is the color of midnight, its shoulders thick with muscle. Its eyes are the same molten gold as the pup's, but they are not innocent. They are ancient, intelligent, and fixed entirely on me. Terror, cold and absolute, seizes me. Every muscle in my body screams at me to run, to scream, to do anything but sit here, paralyzed at the feet of this monster. This is him, the master of the house. He takes a silent step into the room, then another. He doesn't growl. He makes no sound at all. He just moves with a fluid, predatory grace that is utterly terrifying. The pup, asleep at my side, is oblivious. My hand is still resting on its soft fur. My first instinct, sharp and overwhelming, is to protect it. I don't move, I don't breathe. I just meet the great wolf's golden gaze, and with every ounce of will I possess, I hold my ground. I am a shield for the small creature beside me. The wolf stops just a few feet away. The wild, musky scent of him fills the air, a heady mix of power and pine and damp earth. It should be terrifying. And it is. But under the terror, that strange, traitorous part of me recognizes the scent of an alpha protector. He lowers his massive head, his gaze dropping from my face to my hand, resting on his pup. He looks at the sleeping baby, then back at me. I see a flicker of something in those golden depths. Not anger, not aggression, something else. Surprise? Curiosity? He lets out a low sound, a soft chuff that is not a growl. It's a sound of inquiry. My heart is a hummingbird in my chest. I find my voice, though it comes out as a shaky whisper. He was hungry, I say. The wolf's ears twitch. He understands. Of course, he understands. Everything about this place is steeped in a magic that defies the world I knew. He takes another slow step forward until his huge head is level with my own. I can feel the heat radiating from his body. I can smell the life on his breath. I'm so close, I could reach out and touch him. The thought is both horrifying and strangely tempting. He nudges the pup gently with his nose, a gesture of paternal tenderness that is so at odds with his fearsome appearance that it makes my throat tighten. The pup stirs, whimpering softly in its sleep, and burrows closer to my leg. The wolf looks at me again, and for a long, breathless moment, we are just there. A woman, a wolf, and a baby in a quiet, warm room. The terror begins to recede, replaced by a strange, fragile sense of peace, a silent understanding. He seems to decide something. He turns and walks out of the room, his claws making no sound on the stone. He pauses in the doorway and looks back at me, a clear, silent command. Follow. My mind reels. Follow him? The beast? But he is not just a beast. He is a father, and he has not harmed me. He has accepted my presence. With trembling hands, I gently scoop up the sleeping pup, nestling it in the crook of my arm. It feels impossibly right. I gather the nest of furs around it to keep it warm. I stand up, my legs shaking, and I follow the great black wolf out of the nursery. He leads me not to the cold grandeur of the main hall, but to a smaller, more intimate sitting room I hadn't discovered. A fire is roaring in the hearth. There are comfortable-looking chairs and a soft rug on the floor. It feels like a living space, a true heart of the home. He goes to the fireplace and lies down, his massive body curling into a posture of rest, though his golden eyes never leave me. He watches as I gently place the pup, still wrapped in its furs, onto a thick rug near the warmth of the fire. He has brought us here, to this room. He has brought us into his space. This is not the action of a captor with a prisoner. This is something else entirely. I sink into one of the chairs, my body exhausted from the adrenaline and the emotion of the day. The great wolf lies by the fire, the pup sleeps soundly, and a strange, tentative truce settles over the room. I have crossed a threshold. I came to this house a victim, a piece of chattel. But in a dusty, forgotten room, by choosing compassion over fear, I have become something else. I don't have a name for it yet, but for the first time in a very long time, it feels a little like hope. Life finds a new rhythm, a strange, silent, domestic routine. I become a mother. I name the pup Ember, His fur is the soft gray of a dying fire, and it seems to fit. My days now have a purpose, a center. I feed Ember, carefully using a strip of soft cloth soaked in the warm goat's milk that appears without fail every morning in the nursery. I clean him. I hold him. I whisper stories to him, the same ones my grandfather used to tell me. Tales of mischievous sprites and honorable dragons. And he is always there. The wolf, my silent, watchful guardian. He never leaves us. He follows me from room to room, a huge dark shadow at my heels. When I sit by the fire with Ember sleeping in my lap, he lies at my feet, his massive head resting on his paws, his golden eyes watching me. When I walk the echoing halls, he pads silently behind me. The fear I once felt has been replaced by a strange, deep-seated comfort. His presence is a shield. The oppressive, watchful silence of the house is gone, replaced by the quiet companionship of his breathing, the soft thud of his tail against the floorboards when I speak. I start talking to him too. At first, it feels foolish, confiding in a wild animal. But his gaze is so intelligent, so intent, it feels like he understands every word. He has your eyes, I tell him one evening, stroking Ember's downy head as he sleeps. The wolf, lying by the hearth, lifts his head, his ears perked. They're beautiful, like liquid gold. A low rumble vibrates in his chest, a sound of contentment. I tell him things I have never told anyone. I tell him about my family's disappointment, the cold weight of their shame. I tell him about Lysander, about the humiliation of being rejected, of being deemed unworthy. I tell him about the crushing loneliness, the feeling of being invisible. They never saw me. I whisper, my voice thick with unshed tears. They just saw a problem, a flaw. I look at the wolf, at his steady, unwavering gaze. You see me? I say, the truth of it hitting me with surprising force. Don't you? He makes that soft chuffing sound again and shifts closer, resting his heavy head on the arm of my chair, his nose just inches from my hand. The musky, wild scent of him is no longer frightening. It is the scent of safety, of home. Tentatively, my heart stuttering, I reach out and rest my hand on his head. His fur is thick and surprisingly soft beneath my fingers. It's like touching living midnight. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't move at all. He just closes his eyes and leans into my touch with a soft sigh that is achingly vulnerable. A connection sparks between us, a fragile, unspoken thing that is more real than any conversation I have ever had. In this silent house, with a beast for a guardian and a pup for a child, I am not lonely. I am seen. Ember grows with an impossible speed. Within a week, his eyes are wide open, and he is tumbling and playing, his little paws unsteady. His teeth are coming in, sharp little needles that he tests on my fingers with gentle nips. His healing and growth are unnatural, magical. The wolf's intelligence is equally unnerving. One afternoon, I'm in the library, finally daring to pull a book from the shelves. The air has a sudden chill, and I shiver, wrapping my arms around myself. I think aloud, I should have brought a shawl. A few minutes later, the wolf appears in the doorway, a thick woolen shawl I'd left in my room held gently in his mouth. He drops it at my feet and looks at me expectantly. I stare at the shawl, then at him, my mouth agape. How? He just lies down, his tail giving a single, satisfied thump. Fear has no place here anymore. It has been crowded out by wonder, by a tentative blossoming affection that I am too afraid to name. I am falling in love with a ghost, with a presence, with a great black wolf who listens to my secrets and keeps me warm. One night, a storm breaks over the forest. Wind howls around the stone house like a grieving spirit. Rain lashes against the windows. Thunder cracks, rattling the very foundations of the building. Ember whimpers in his sleep, disturbed by the noise. I scoop him up, holding him close, rocking him gently. The wolf rises from his spot by the fire and comes to my side, pressing his solid, warm body against my legs, a living anchor in the storm. Another clap of thunder, louder this time, makes me jump, a small cry escaping my lips. I have always hated storms. They remind me of the shouting in my childhood home, the slamming doors, the feeling of being small and helpless in the face of a rage I couldn't understand. The wolf nudges my hand with his wet nose, his golden eyes full of a concern that is profoundly, achingly human. "It's all right," I whisper, more to him than to myself. "I'm all right." But I'm not. A tear escapes and traces a cold path down my cheek, then another. Soon, quiet sobs are shaking my body, the culmination of weeks of pent-up emotion, grief for the life I lost, fear for the future I can't see, and a strange, overwhelming gratitude for this bizarre, peaceful sanctuary I have found. The wolf makes a low, distressed sound in his throat. He rests his heavy head in my lap, next to the sleeping pup. I bury my free hand in the thick fur of his neck, clinging to him as the storm rages outside and inside me. He is my comfort, my confidant, my protector. In the heart of the storm, I realize the truth. I am no longer a prisoner here. I am home. The knock on the door is so alien, so out of place in my silent world, that at first I think I have imagined it. It comes again, louder this time. A sharp, impatient rapping that echoes through the great hall. I freeze in the sitting room, ember stirring in my lap. The wolf, Zephyr, for that is the name I have given him in my heart, a name that feels strong and ancient, like him, is instantly on his feet. A low, menacing growl rumbles deep in his chest, a sound I have never heard from him before. The fur along his spine bristles. Who could be out there? Mr. Thaddeus would not return. No one knows I am here. The knocking becomes a pounding. "Seraphina! I know you're in there! Open this door!" The voice. Ice floods my veins. I know that voice. It is laced with the same arrogance, the same proprietary tone that I have spent months trying to forget. "Lysander!" Zephyr's growl deepens, vibrating through the floor. He looks at me, his golden eyes blazing with a protective fury that is terrifying and beautiful. He takes a step towards the hall, a clear intention to meet the threat head-on. "No," I whisper, my voice tight with panic. "No, Zephyr. Wait." He can't go out there. Lysander is from my world, a world of cruel logic and cold iron. He won't understand. He will see a monster. He might have a weapon. "Seraphina!" Lysander's voice is closer now, shouting through the door. "Don't be a fool! I've come to take you home. Your father has come to his senses." Home. The word is a bitter poison on his tongue. Zephyr ignores my plea, He stalks out of the sitting room, a silent black wraith of righteous anger. I scramble to my feet, placing the now awake and whimpering Ember into the safety of the nest by the fire, and run after him. I reach the great hall just as the main door splinters inward, torn from its hinges by a brutal kick. Lysander stands framed in the doorway, his handsome face twisted in a sneer. Behind him stand two other men, burly and grim-faced, armed with heavy rifles. His eyes scan the hall and fix on me. His sneer softens into a look of condescending pity. "There you are, living in this hovel. Did you really think this was better than being with me?" Before I can answer, Zephyr emerges from the shadows beside the staircase. The air is sucked from the room. Lysander's men gasp, their knuckles white on their rifles. Lysander himself takes a step back, his face draining of all color. The sheer size of Zephyr, the palpable aura of ancient power that radiates from him, is enough to stop any man's heart. "What in the hells is that?" Lysander breathes, his arrogance replaced by raw fear. Zephyr does not wait. He does not hesitate. With a roar that is the sound of the forest's own fury, he lunges. It is a blur of black fur and righteous violence. He is not an animal. He is a force of nature. He slams into the two armed men before they can even raise their weapons, sending them flying like dolls. Bones crunch. Men scream, a sound that is quickly cut off. Lysander, recovering from his shock, fumbles inside his coat. He pulls out not a gun, but a knife. Its blade gleams with a sick, silvery light. Silver. The old tales. The forbidden stories. They were all true. "Zephyr! No!" I scream, my voice lost in the chaos. Zephyr turns on Lysander, the source of the intrusion, the one who dared to call my name. He leaps, jaws wide, aiming for Lysander's throat. Lysander, in a moment of pure, panicked reflex, thrusts the silver knife forward. It sinks deep into Zephyr's shoulder. A sound tears from Zephyr's throat, a sound of agony and shock that rips through me as if the blade has pierced my own flesh. He stumbles back, his massive form faltering. The silver is a poison. I can see it, smoking where it meets his flesh, eating away at him. Lysander doesn't press his advantage. He turns and flees, scrambling out of the broken doorway and vanishing into the gloom, a coward to the very end. Zephyr sways on his feet, the silver-handled knife buried in his shoulder. He looks at me, his golden eyes clouded with pain. He takes a step, then another before his legs buckle. He collapses onto the cold stone floor with a heavy, final thud. A profound silence descends on the hall, broken only by the whimpering of the dying men and the ragged sound of my own breath. For a moment, I am frozen, a statue of horror. Then something in me snaps. The fear, the passivity, the girl who was taught to stand by and accept her fate. She dies in that moment. "Zephyr!" I run to him, my knees hitting the hard floor as I slide to his side. His blood, dark and thick, is pooling on the flagstones. The wound is horrific. The silver blade seems to pulse with a malevolent energy, the flesh around it blackened and sizzling. He is breathing in shallow, ragged gasps. "No, no, no!" I sob, my hands hovering over him, unsure of what to do. The sight of him, my protector, my silent friend, my rock, brought so low is an agony beyond words. I have to get the knife out. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely think, but I force them still. I grasp the handle of the knife. It's cold, unnaturally so, burning my skin even through the ambient heat of his body. "I'm so sorry," I whisper, tears streaming down my face, blurring my vision. "This is my fault. I'm so sorry." With a guttural cry, I pull. The knife comes free with a sickening sound. I fling it away from me, where it clatters against the far wall. Zephyr lets out a long, shuddering howl of pain that echoes in the vast hall, a sound that breaks my heart into 1,000 pieces. Blood gushes from the wound, dark and alarmingly fast. He is bleeding out. I am going to lose him. Without thinking, I tear at the hem of my dress, ripping off a long strip of fabric. I press it against the wound, trying to staunch the flow, but the blood soaks through it almost instantly. It's not enough. He is dying. He saved me, and he is dying. An instinct, primal and desperate, takes over. I press my body against his, trying to lend him my warmth, my strength. I shield him with my own small frame, as if I could protect him from death itself. "Don't you dare leave me!" I choke out, my face buried in his fur, which is now matted with blood. "Do you hear me? You can't leave me. You and Ember, you're my family." I press harder against the wound, my own blood, from where the cursed knife burned my hand, mingling with his. A tremor runs through his massive body, a deep, shuddering spasm. And then the light begins. It starts at the wound, a soft, golden luminescence that pulses in time with his fading heartbeat. It spreads outwards, a web of light crackling over his black fur. The air grows thick, charged with an energy that makes my teeth ache and my hair stand on end. I pull back, my eyes wide with awe and terror. His form is shifting, dissolving. Bones crack and reshape with sounds that are both horrifying and sacred. The black fur recedes like a dying shadow, revealing pale skin beneath. The massive wolf skull elongates and softens, the snout pulling back, the feral lines melting into the features of a man. I am kneeling on the floor of a blood-soaked hall, watching my wolf die, and watching a man be born from his pain. The transformation is agonizingly slow, then terrifyingly fast. Where a giant wolf lay bleeding, there is now a man. He is naked, sprawled on the cold stone, his body a canvas of taut muscle and old scars. His hair is as black as his pelt, long and tangled, plastered to his skin with sweat and blood. The horrific wound is still in his shoulder, but it is a wound in human flesh now, ugly and deep. He is devastatingly beautiful, and he is dying. He shudders, and his eyelids flutter open. I stop breathing. They are the same eyes, molten gold, ancient, intelligent, and filled with an impossible, soul-shattering pain. His gaze finds mine. His lips, pale and bloodless, part. "Seraphina," he rasps. My name, on his tongue, in a voice that is a low, rough baritone, like stones grinding together deep underground. The world tilts on its axis. The wolf, the master, the father, the man, they are all one. Zephyr. Shock holds me paralyzed for a heartbeat. Then the reality of the situation crashes back in. He is wounded, He is exposed. He is vulnerable. I scramble to my feet, my mind racing. I need to get him warm. I need to clean the wound. I don't know what I need to do, but I have to do something. I run from the hall, my bare feet slipping in his blood. I race to the sitting room, my heart a frantic drum against my ribs. Ember is crying in his nest, sensing the wrongness, the terror in the air. Shh, little one, it's going to be all right. I lie, my voice shaking. I snatch up the heaviest wool blanket I can find and race back to the hall. He hasn't moved. His eyes are closed now, his breathing terrifyingly shallow. The two men Lysander brought are still and silent in the shadows. I force myself not to look at them. They don't matter. Only he matters. I kneel beside him and gently, awkwardly wrap the heavy blanket around his body. His skin is clammy and cold, but a feverish heat radiates from the wound. My fingers brush against the hard muscle of his chest, and a jolt, electric and intimate, shoots up my arm. I pull back as if burned. This is not my wolf anymore. This is a man. A naked, wounded man. My mind feels like it's splitting in two. The shock of the revelation is at war with the urgent, practical need to save his life. Practicality wins. I have to move you, I say, my voice trembling. I can't treat you here. His eyes open again, hazy with pain. He looks at me, and a flicker of the same intent I saw in the wolf is there. He understands. He tries to move, to help, but a sharp hiss of pain escapes his lips, and he falls back, his body tense. Don't, I say, my voice firmer now. Don't move. Just let me. How am I supposed to move a man of his size? He is all long limbs and solid muscle. I am not strong enough. Desperation makes you resourceful. I look around the hall, my eyes landing on one of the thick fur rugs that lie before the cold hearth. An idea sparks. I drag the heavy rug over to him. It's a struggle. It weighs almost as much as I do. I manage to get one edge of it under his back. I'm sorry, I whisper before I start to pull, trying to roll him onto the rug. He groans, a low, agonized sound that tears at me, but he doesn't fight me. He lets me maneuver his limp, heavy body onto the thick fur. Then I pull. I drag him inch by painstaking inch out of the great hall, away from the blood and the death, and into the warm sanctuary of the sitting room. It feels like I am pulling a mountain. My muscles scream in protest, my lungs burn. But I don't stop. I get him as close to the fire as I dare. He is shaking now, his teeth chattering, a fever taking hold. I run to the kitchen and grab a basin of warm water and clean cloths. I run to the nursery and find the small store of medicinal herbs I'd seen there. Yarrow to staunch blood, willow bark for pain. I don't know what I'm doing, relying on fragments of my grandfather's lessons on folk remedies, but it is better than nothing. I return to his side. Ember is quiet now, watching us from his nest with wide, worried golden eyes. I have to clean the wound. I have to touch him. Taking a deep breath, I gently pull back the blanket from his shoulder. The wound is a raw, gaping mess. The silver has done its work, leaving the flesh around the edges necrotized and black. But the bleeding has slowed. My hands are shaking, but I dip a cloth in the warm water and begin to clean away the blood. He flinches when I touch him, his muscles tensing, but he doesn't pull away. I work in silence, my focus narrowed to this single terrible task. I clean the wound as best I can, my touch as gentle as I can make it. He watches me the entire time, his golden eyes never leaving my face. His gaze is heavy, filled with 1,000 things I cannot begin to understand. Pain, gratitude, guilt. When the wound is clean, I crush the herbs and make a crude poultice, packing it into the raw flesh. He hisses, his whole body going rigid, but he endures it. I bind the wound with fresh strips of cloth torn from a linen sheet. My work is done. There is nothing more I can do. I sit back on my heels, exhausted, drained, and covered in his blood. My whole world has been upended in the space of an hour. The wolf I had come to love, to trust with my secrets and my heart, is a man, a shapeshifter, a being of myth and legend. And he knows my name. The silence in the room stretches, thick and heavy, broken only by the crackle of the fire and his ragged breathing. You knew, I whisper, the question hanging in the air between us. You knew who I was. He closes his eyes for a moment, a spasm of pain crossing his face. When he opens them, the haze is clearer. The intensity is back. From the moment you arrived, he says, his voice a hoarse rasp, I smelled you, my mate. Mate. The word hangs in the air. It's a word from the old stories, a word of destiny, of soul-deep connection, of a bond that cannot be broken. All the pieces click into place. The feeling of being watched, the instant comfort I felt in his presence, the way my own omega instincts, long dormant and shamed, had responded to his alpha scent, the impossible sense of safety I felt with a creature who should have terrified me. It wasn't just compassion. It wasn't just loneliness. It was this fated thing. My mind reels. I feel faint. I put a hand on the floor to steady myself. He sees the shock on my face, the dawning horror and confusion. A look of profound guilt, of deep, wrenching sorrow clouds his features. I never meant for you to find out this way, he whispers, his voice cracking. I am a monster, Serafina. I brought you to a monster's world. He tries to push himself up to move away from me, as if my proximity is a contamination. You should leave. I will have you taken back. You deserve a normal life, a safe life. Leave? The word is a physical blow. Leave him? Leave Ember? Leave this strange, violent, beautiful world where I have, for the first time, felt seen? Go back to the cold indifference of my family? To the world that discarded me like trash? The shock recedes, and in its place, a fierce, protective anger rises, an anger I have never felt before. No, I say, my voice quiet but unyielding. He stares at me, confused. No, I'm not leaving, I say, my voice growing stronger. I crawl closer to him until I am right beside his head. I look him directly in those stunning, tormented golden eyes. Do you think I'm afraid of you? You should be, he says, his voice rough with self-loathing. You saw what I did, what I am. I saw you protect me. I counter, my voice ringing with a conviction that surprises me. I saw you protect our family, the only family I have. His breath hitches. The word our hangs between us, a fragile bridge. That man Lysander, I continue, the memory of his sneer fueling my fire. He represents the world you want to send me back to. A world that thinks I am worthless because I am an omega. A world that sees me as a broken thing to be hidden away. Here, with you, I have not felt broken. I have felt whole. I reach out, my hand hesitating for only a second before I gently touch his face, my fingers tracing the strong line of his jaw. His skin is hot with fever, but he doesn't pull away. He leans into my touch, his eyes closing, just as he did when he was a wolf. I was falling in love with a wolf, Zephyr, I confess, the words tumbling out raw and honest. I didn't understand it, but I was. And now I see the same soul in your eyes. Man or wolf, it doesn't matter. It's you. A single tear escapes from beneath his closed eyelid and traces a path through the grime on his cheek. At that moment, a soft shuffling sound draws our attention. Ember, who has managed to climb out of his nest, is slowly, determinedly making his way across the rug towards us. He crawls over to his father's side, nudging his hand with his little nose before settling down, curling up against Zephyr's uninjured arm, a tiny, furry anchor of love and trust. The sight breaks something open in both of us. Zephyr opens his eyes, and the guilt and self-loathing are gone, replaced by a raw, naked vulnerability that mirrors my own. I have been alone for a very long time, he whispers, his voice thick with emotion. Since my first mate was killed by humans, I locked myself away. I never dared to hope the fates would grant me a second chance. He looks at me, his gaze so intense it feels like he is seeing into the very core of me. And then you came, compassionate, brave. You touched my son with kindness when you should have run in fear. You healed a part of me I thought was dead long before I ever met you. His confession unravels the last of my own restraint. I'm not leaving, I say again, my voice a fierce whisper. This is my home now. You are my home. He raises his uninjured hand, his fingers trembling slightly as he cups my cheek. His thumb gently strokes my skin. The touch is electric, a promise, a question. Seraphina. He breathes, my name a prayer on his lips. And then he closes the small distance between us. His lips meet mine. The kiss is not gentle. It is a collision of pain and relief, of longing and discovery. It is months of silent conversations, of unspoken affection, of shared solitude finally given a voice. His lips are chapped and hot with fever, but it is the most profound connection I have ever known. It is the taste of pine and wild things, of storms and quiet fireside nights. It is the taste of coming home. It is the sealing of a bond, not of fate, but of choice. My choice. I chose the beast. I chose the man. I chose this life. And I would choose it again, 1,000 times over. 6 months pass in a blur of healing and discovery. Zephyr's recovery is swift, almost as unnaturally fast as Ember's growth. The shifter blood in him knits flesh and bone with a vitality that defies human medicine. But the healing of the soul is a slower, more delicate process. We learn each other. In the quiet safety of the fortress, he tells me his stories. He is the alpha of this territory, the last of an ancient line of shifters who have guarded these woods for centuries. He tells me of the betrayal that made him a recluse. His first mate, Isolde, murdered by poachers who saw her wolf form as nothing more than a trophy. His grief had turned to stone, encasing his heart, until the fates, in their infinite and cruel wisdom, had sent him a son from that lost love, and then a second chance mate, me. I, in turn, teach him the quiet language of touch without prelude, of companionship without expectation. I read to him from the books in the library, my voice filling the silence he had lived in for so long. We walk the woods together, he in his human form, his hand clasped firmly in mine. He shows me the secrets of the forest, the hidden waterfalls and sun-dappled glades. He is no longer just a presence or a protector. He is my partner, my friend, my love. He shifts for me sometimes in the soft light of dusk. The transformation no longer frightens me. Watching the man I love become the wolf I first fell for is a miracle I never tire of. We run together, me on my own 2 feet, laughing as the great black wolf and a now gangly adolescent pup race ahead of me through the trees. The house is no longer a fortress of solitude. It is filled with life, with Ember's happy yelps, with the sound of Zephyr's low laughter, with my own voice, clear and confident. One crisp autumn morning, Zephyr leads me to a clearing deep within the walls of the estate. A small gathering of people are waiting. They are like him. Their eyes hold an ancient light. Their movements have a feral grace. His pack, the few families who remain under his protection. They look at me, a fragile human with cautious curiosity. I feel a flicker of the old fear, the old feeling of being judged. Zephyr stands beside me, his arm a solid, warm weight around my waist. He speaks to them in a language that is both guttural and melodic, the old tongue of his people. I don't understand the words, but I understand the tone. It is a declaration. He turns to me and slips a simple, carved wooden ring onto my finger. It is warm from his touch. My heart, he says, his voice for me alone. My soul, my Luna. The pack members bow their heads one by one, a gesture of respect, of acceptance. I am not an outcast here. I am their alpha's chosen. I belong. Tears well in my eyes, hot and cleansing. Life is perfect. So perfect that I almost forget the world outside these stone walls exists. Almost. A formal-looking carriage, much like the one that brought me here, arrives one afternoon. It stops outside the repaired gates. Lysander steps out. He is not alone. My father is with him. Zephyr, who had sensed their approach long before I did, stands with me on the steps of the house. He is in his human form, dressed in simple, dark clothing. He looks like a lord of the manor, powerful and uncompromising. His hand rests possessively on the small of my back. Ember, now almost the size of a full-grown wolf, sits at our feet, a low growl rumbling in his chest. My father's face is a mask of strained civility. Lysander looks diminished. The arrogance is still there, but it's brittle now, edged with fear. He can't look directly at Zephyr. Seraphina, my father begins, his voice stiff. This farce has gone on long enough. We have come to take you home. I look at him, the man whose approval I had craved my entire life. I feel nothing. No anger, no sadness, just a distant clinical pity. I am home, I say, my voice calm and clear. Lysander scoffs, though his eyes dart nervously toward Zephyr. Home? With this brute in this wilderness? Seraphina, be reasonable. Your place is with your family, with me. I am willing to overlook your indiscretion. He says it as if he is bestowing a great gift. The magnanimous Lord forgiving the foolish woman. A slow smile touches my lips. It's a smile I've never felt before. It's filled with a power I didn't know I possessed. Overlook? I repeat, my voice soft. Lysander, you seem to be under a great misapprehension. You believe you have something to offer me? You believe you are a prize to be won? I take a step forward, away from the comforting warmth of Zephyr's hand. I stand alone, but I have never felt stronger. You rejected me because I was an Omega, because I was flawed. You and my father. I glance at him. You sent me away to be forgotten. You cast me into what you thought was darkness. I turn my gaze back to Lysander, letting him see the utter lack of fear in my eyes. But you see, the darkness you sent me to, it wasn't empty. It was waiting for me. It claimed me. It healed me. It gave me a family, a purpose, a love you couldn't comprehend in 1,000 lifetimes. I gesture to the magnificent man beside me, to the beautiful, powerful creature at my feet, to the vast, wild forest that is my kingdom. This is my life. This is my choice. I am not the broken thing you threw away. I am the Luna of this territory. And you, I say, my voice dropping to a dismissive whisper, are nothing. Lysander's face contorts with rage and wounded pride. My father just looks old and defeated. They have no power here. They are relics of a life I have shed like a snake's skin. Zephyr steps forward, placing his hand on my shoulder. He doesn't say a word. He doesn't have to. His presence, his possessive touch, is a statement more powerful than any threat. They are defeated. They know it. Without another word, they turn, get back in their carriage, and leave, consumed by the forest they so despise. I watch them go until they are out of sight. I feel Zephyr's hand tighten on my shoulder. I lean back against his solid chest, breathing in his familiar scent of pine and safety. Later that night, I am curled up in the big chair by the fire, a book open in my lap, though I'm not reading. Zephyr sits on the floor, his back against the chair, his head resting on my knees. Ember is sprawled out on the rug, a great furry beast, twitching in a dream of chasing rabbits. It is a portrait of perfect, profound peace. I run my fingers through Zephyr's thick black hair. I think about my journey, about the terrified, lonely girl in the carriage. She seems like a stranger to me now. I was sent here as a punishment, an exile. I was deemed weak, a flaw in the bloodline. But it was that perceived weakness, my Omega's heart, my capacity for empathy in the face of fear, that allowed me to connect with him. It was my compassion that opened the door to this life. My greatest flaw was, in fact, my greatest strength. It was the key that unlocked my destiny. Zephyr turns his head, his golden eyes finding mine in the firelight. He doesn't need to ask what I'm thinking. He knows. He always knows. He lifts his hand and covers mine where it rests on his cheek. I found you, he whispers. I smile, a real, deep smile that reaches my eyes. No, I correct him softly. I found me. And in the quiet heart of the wild, surrounded by my family, my soul finally, truly came home.